They want every seat that was filled by virtue of the meeting of January 31 to be vacated, that whole process be voided, that there be an injunction entered against each individual that perhaps violated the act, that was found to have been violated, the act, and that would be a determination made by a court.
I sort of agree with Mike Hammond. I think we just need to, nobody stood up and said I've committed a sin, so to speak, or I've broke the law, so I feel like we just need to move on and get this county moving in the right direction. Every commission meeting is going to be like this. We need to move forward.
Okay, Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, I agree with what Mr. Hammond was saying there, or saying that nobody has stood up and said that, that they've done anything wrong. Nobody's going to do that, folks. Nobody's going to stand up and say, I broke the Sunshine Law. My question is to the law director, let's say the people from the public say, okay, but they've got information that one of us did or three or four of us did. What happens then, John? I mean, I think that's where we're headed.
Well, I mean, what we're about to launch into, I'm sure, is a discovery process, and there will be there could be written discovery where we have to answer interrogatories and production requests, which include records, personal records of each commissioner. There could be depositions taken. We have two of these cases. I would hope that depositions would be taken concurrently, that you're looking at approximately 30 or so depositions. They take an enormous amount of time, and they take an enormous amount of your time. For the 8 commissioners who are in the other lawsuit, the lawsuit that was filed on January 31, they are expending their own personal funds for attorneys. So it comes at a personal stake in both time and money.
In my opinion, that's what's going to happen. The public is very, very upset with this. Very upset with how things went, and I think some things are going to be challenged with what Commissioner Hammond came up with. Is trying to save us this trouble in the future. This is the first I've seen of this with what you did. We've got a very long process that's going to be ahead of us. And I'm not saying, that I'm going to vote against these commissioners that were put in. The way it was done wasn't on the up and up.
Well, Commissioner Smith, I will.
Just a moment. I'd like to have the floor with me. What was not done on the up and up, Commissioner Smith?
Well, for one, you let one commissioner come in that would be sworn in, but you wouldn't let somebody else.
Just a moment, sir. Everyone had that opportunity. You can ask the law director. Were you not at this meeting when that was the first thing he said? That anybody that is sworn in can take their seat immediately?
Well, then how come we let, and not against the person that was there?
Well, you must be attacking the person that's there, Mr. Smith. The law director sat here and told us that anybody that was sworn in could go outside out there and come back in and take their seat immediately.
All right, then how come we let
Mr.
Bolus in, but we didn't let Mr. Cate in?
Mr. Cate didn't go in then, maybe. I don't know.
He tried to get in. Did you?
No.
I declined to get sworn in, Larry. You know that.
Larry, you're doing the Knox County an injustice by what you're saying and what you said on TV. But saying people don't take this serious. I do take it serious. I'm not wearing a white hat. I'm up here to vote for what's right. Now, I'm not running for mayor and all that stuff like you're talking about doing. I'm here. Don't laugh. I'm just telling you the truth now. Who done what wrong? Name one commissioner that done something wrong. Now, you've accused us it wasn't on the up and up. Name what's not on the up and up. I resent you talking to me like that.
Okay. Commissioner Lambert. And then Commissioner Ballard. Yes, Law Director. Would Mr. Harmon's proposal, would that not be a conflict of interest for any of these 8 folks that have just been appointed? I feel like it puts these folks at a catch-22 if they vote yes for it, they're voting to have themselves thrown out of office if we have the authority to do that, which I still don't believe that we do. And if they vote no on it, then it can be used against them politically. I would challenge that the 8 that were appointed are ineligible to vote on that because conflict of interest. Is that a conflict of interest, and would they be ineligible to vote on this?
I do not believe it would be a conflict. I mean, personally, it would be a tough decision to make, but it wouldn't necessarily be a conflict. I do not believe that they would be disqualified because of a conceptual conflict.
Okay, Commissioner Ballard.
Let me give him my thoughts for a minute. I believe it's after me. I'll come back to me if you don't care.
All right, let me just remind everybody, it's 4:16. We've got a couple more items on the agenda. We're supposed to start zonings at 4, so if we can try to move ahead. Commissioner Trammell.
No, the state legislature has a study committee that Commissioner Hammond is on this study committee, and they're trying to put some teeth in this. Could we go to the News Sentinel and offer an agreement to wait on the study committee comes back from the state legislature to see what the state legislature says, see what laws they're going to put in place? That's what I'd like to call for the question.
Okay, is that a substitute motion, Mr. Trammell? Because if it is, I'll second.
Yeah, I'll make that a substitute motion.
And I'll second.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was it?
They've got the study committee in Nashville, and the legislature is looking at the open meeting law. You know, how many people does it take is one of the questions, I think. Is it 2 or is it a quorum?
The question's now before the General Assembly, and it's before the legislature now. The legislature is going to have to determine how they want this committee to proceed. As we were having our meetings in Nashville, we told them that we did not have adequate time to answer the questions they wanted us to answer, and those are some of the questions being answered. This law has not been looked at in about 20-some years, and so that's why they're wanting to look at it to really take some of the vagueness out of it, put some teeth into it, if you will. But as far as where we are in that process, I don't know. It's in the legislature's hands now, and they'll have to determine how they want to proceed with this committee and how they want this committee to proceed.
Okay, Commissioner Hammond. Also, I think last year in the legislature, they approved some stuff where it is a quorum for the legislature to violate the Sunshine Law.
I'm not familiar with that specific bill.
Well, they did that last year, and I think it has to determine, is it 2 commissioners or is it a quorum? And I certainly feel very comfortable if it's a quorum that this lawsuit would be going nowhere. And I haven't seen any evidence of even 2 people. You know, people need to bring these things forward. I mean, we're going to find out in court, but I've always been the kind of guy that if you get sued, you know, you got to defend it. It's not us suing anyone. Mr. Law Director.
I believe what was introduced last year is actually what has led to this committee that Commissioner Hammond is on. What was introduced was a much broader, I believe, definition of what is required under the Sunshine Law. It makes it very clear under the new legislation that it takes 2 or more members of a legislative body and not necessarily a quorum, which leads me to believe that with that lack of clarity in the law, whether this body, whether it really takes 2 or whether it takes a quorum, I believe that question remains unanswered. That is one of those things that we're going to be arguing in defense of the case. In addition to that, the law, the new legislation would provide that there be a $50 personal fine attached to each and every violation of the Act. In addition to that, it would require that the burden of proof shift from the person making the allegation to the official who has been alleged to have violated the Act. So basically what it does, it puts the official in the position of proving a negative, which is very hard to do, very difficult to do. But that is what has led, the discussion of that is what has led to this committee that Commissioner Hammond is on. I believe there are 17 members or so, Commissioner Hammond, to your committee. I know the county attorney in Hamilton County is one of the members of that committee, and I've corresponded with him. But I don't believe that the committee is ready to make their recommendations to the legislature